Welcome to the Vibrant Visibility Podcast. Being visible as a soul-led business owner isn't just about the practical strategies, marketing tips, and tech systems. It's also about the internal systems, the safety of your nervous system, the somatic connection, and the embodiment of being a badass CEO that will support you in all of the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. And I'm here to share all of that with you on this show. I'm your host, Shawnee Arsenault, a registered nurse turned visibility coach and business mentor for heart-centered coaches and healers. I created a six-figure coaching practice in my first year of business and scaled to multiple six figures my second year, all in the middle of getting pregnant with my first baby and becoming a new mama. If I can do this entrepreneurship thing, I know you can too. If you're ready to learn how to be a CEO in a way that feels aligned with your heart, become a lighthouse for the people that you're meant to serve, feel free to authentically express yourself and be a magnet for success, and grow your coaching business in a way that is sustainable and fulfilling, I can't wait to be in your ear along for the ride. All right, guys, we are back and we are going to have some real talk today because this is for any of you out there who have ever posted something on social media that felt so honest, so raw, so vulnerable. It made your chest tight. It made you nervous to actually share it. And then it got like 17 views and a spam comment about crypto. So the theme of today is going to be kind of like strength training for those like quiet seasons online, for those seasons where you don't really get a lot of engagement, you don't really get a lot of views on your content, and the idea of emotional resilience and continuing to be consistent, doing these emotional push-ups, essentially, putting in the reps and sharing content consistently, even when things are quiet and even when it feels like nobody's watching. Now, I am not here to talk about reach or algorithms. What I do want to talk about, though, is that quiet 5 minutes after you post when you are sitting there wondering, oh, maybe I shouldn't have posted that. Oh, that was stupid. Maybe I'll just delete it. The most important skill, I believe the most important skill in content creation isn't hooks or hashtags. I mean, yes, those are things that you can absolutely refine and get better at. But the most important skill before either of those things, before any other strategy that you might hear social media gurus talk about, it's your emotional resilience whenever the metrics don't match the energy that it took to press post or to put that content out there. So if you have been struggling with your emotional resilience and find yourself feeling really discouraged whenever you share content online consistently and then don't get the engagement, don't get the comments, don't get the response from your audience that you initially wanted, this is the perfect episode for you to listen to. It's the perfect little reminder for you that those vanity metrics do not matter, and I'll tell you what actually does. So if you are planning on using content as your primary way to let people know about your business, it's important to kind of have this frame of mind that you're not simply making content for the sake of making content. Yes, you are making content to put yourself out there and to let more people know about what you do and to talk about your offers and whatnot, yada, yada. But you are also, first and foremost, building capacity, right? I could sit here and rattle off a bunch of different engagement hacks and tips on how to make your hooks really magnetic and specific and vivid. I can share all of the things that I've learned about making scroll-stopping stuff, but you don't really need all of that first. Like, yes, those are things that you can actually learn to implement over time, but the first skill, the first habit that you need if you're going to use content online for your marketing is energetic endurance. And I've talked about energetic endurance before, but this is specifically geared towards content creation here. So a lot of times we think we are creating content because every time we post something, it's going to be the one. It's going to be the one to pop off and go viral or get a lot of engagement or get a lot of people signing up for your workshop or getting all those calls booked on the calendar. But creating content isn't actually what does that. It is a tool that allows you to be more visible to people who will book those calls and sign up for your offers. But content marketing is really heavily reliant on the practice of regulating yourself. Emotional resiliency is kind of that invisible skill behind every sustainable coach or healer, right? If you think about all of the people that you admire online, right? Think about all of the coaches, the influencers, the celebrities, I know a lot of these people have teams working with them to post content regularly, but there are quite a lot of solopreneurs, of people who are one-woman shows or doing this on their own, or maybe even just like a small team that stay consistent. And their consistency isn't simply just discipline. It's not them pushing through and posting content to kind of force anything on their audience. It's capacity. They're increasing their capacity to be a little bit messy, right? How many of you have noticed that whenever you spend 2 seconds filming a video or putting a post together and you put it out there, it gets so much attention? And whenever you sit there and plan a post or plan a video and you spend hours editing it and making sure the music is synced perfectly and you have these really beautiful captions that are popping up and all of these different cuts of different clips of you and your family living your life and all of that, you spend hours and hours doing this and it gets silence. I'm saying this because this is something that I frequently experience. I will spend so long on a post, it won't get anything. It won't get any views, any engagement, very, very minimal. But if I do a funny lip syncing reel over a sound that has nothing to do with my business, for some reason that is the one that pops off. I don't understand it. It's a weird phenomenon, but this is the key, right? This is the exercise in emotional resiliency for you to keep going, even though the external results might not reflect the energy that you're putting into the content that you're making. I know that many of you listening to this are likely sick of constantly putting your heart out there and putting a lot of thought and effort into the content that you're making and then finding that it doesn't land with your audience or feeling like you're not reaching the people that you need to reach. And I totally get that. That is completely 100% valid. And it's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's not. This is spiritual work, okay? It is a test from the universe to see if you're going to hang in there. I also think it's testing you in a sense of like checking in to make sure that you are creating content that actually lights you up, that actually is fun for you to create. Because if you are sitting there making content for your business and you're not having any fun, your audience is going to pick up on that. And they're not going to have any fun watching you either. So you kind of have to think of content creation in two separate buckets, okay? How can I get more eyes on my stuff? How can I get more people to see my content? It doesn't matter if they fit in your niche or not. That's one bucket. And then the other bucket is how can I get the right people? Once I cast that wide net and get more people to see my stuff, how do I get the right people to stay? Those are two very different approaches to content creation, and you need both in order to create a thriving business. If you spend all of your time trying to get the right people to stay, but you don't have that kind of content that's going to expose you to more people, to newer eyes, to fresh perspectives, all of that energy that you're spending trying to get the right people to stay is eventually going to run out. And that's why people get so drained with content creation, because they spend so much time thinking about all of those complicated pieces of content that require you to provide a lot of value, that require a lot of your expertise, a lot of your creative juices to flow in a larger capacity. Whereas sometimes the low effort, lazy, quote unquote, content is actually the stuff that's going to expose you to more people. Right? We are casting a wider net. And then once we grow our audience a little bit more, we can focus on creating the content that's going to get the right people, your most aligned potential clients, to stay. So I want you to take inventory and think about what is actually draining you about content creation right now. Right? Is it the writing? Is it the posting? Is it the lack of engagement or the silence after? I want you to pause if you need to. This might be a really good thing to journal on and let your body answer, not just your brain. What is draining for you whenever you think about content creation? I want to talk a little bit about metrics here, like the metrics that actually matter for content creation, because you're likely tracking the wrong data, right? A lot of people go for the vanity metrics, the how many views did it get? How many followers did I get? How many likes or comments or saves or whatever? And while that is helpful whenever you are scaling your business, it's not the most important metric to look at. Those vanity metrics are not the most important thing to analyze whenever you are thinking about creating your future content plan and adjusting your content strategy. You do not need a large audience for your content to be effective. And I tell this to my clients all the time, like, you don't need to go viral. You don't need tens of thousands of followers. I have clients who have tens and thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of followers, and they still struggle to sign clients. They still struggle to get people to buy their stuff, to invest in their offers. So it really doesn't matter what size of an audience you have. It matters the depth of the connection that you have to that audience, right? I have about a little over 2,000 followers on Instagram, 6,500-ish followers on TikTok, maybe 4,000 followers on Facebook. Primarily, I post content on TikTok and Instagram. I don't have tens and hundreds of thousands of followers. I just don't. I don't have a large audience, but I feel really connected to my audience. So the data that I'm tracking isn't so much views and likes and comments. It's actually kind of more intangible than that. Like, I actually allow my body to guide the content that I make, right? If it feels good to post it, if it feels courageous, if it feels a little bit edgy, if it feels vulnerable, if it makes me laugh making it, if it is fun for me whenever I'm creating the content, that's what I track. I can go back and scroll on my profile and I can tell you how I felt making that video, right? So I invite my clients all the time whenever they are working on increasing their capacity to share more content on social media. Some of the metrics I invite them to track are, did this feel good in my body? Did this feel true to me? Did it feel authentic? Right? Was this easier to write than it was last time I tried to write about this topic? Did it get one person to say, I needed to hear this, or I feel a little bit less alone now? Right? I always get those random messages from people. I actually got one this morning that said, you posted a reel a while back. This was a reel that didn't really get a lot of engagement, which was it was surprising to me because I thought it would get a lot more engagement, but I don't know. I never trust the algorithm anymore. But she just sent me a voice message this morning about a reel that I posted weeks ago. And she was like, you posted a reel about, sharing stuff on social media and only getting a low amount of likes and just not caring about it. And that really resonated with me. It made me laugh. It was hilarious. And I just wanted to share that with you. I thought about it. Right. So even those low performing posts, they're reaching people. Okay. They're reaching the right people if you are grounded in your own authentic voice, if it sounds like you, if it sounds like it's coming from the heart. And that lag time between when you're visible and when you actually see the impact of it is so real, right? It fucks with your head. And the real thing is here, people rarely engage when they're the most affected by your content, right? Because likely it brings up an emotional response in people, and people have to sit with that for a little bit. I cannot tell you how many messages that I've gotten where people will message me months later, right? Someone who was a lurker that never liked any of my posts or saved them or commented, never interacted, proving to me that the impact was still happening, even though I wasn't outwardly seeing it. And so I just want to remind you that the deepest impact doesn't always look like the double taps. Okay. It sometimes looks like somebody watching your video in the middle of the night, crying quietly at 2 a.m. because seeing something that you posted made them feel a little bit less alone. Honestly, I feel like the content that could change someone's life is likely sitting in your drafts right now. I guarantee if you have a draft that you have been putting off posting for a while, that's the one you need to share, right? Why have you been sitting on it? I do this all the time with drafts that I create because a lot of times I create content as I'm inspired, right? I don't always plan it ahead of time. Like, yes, sometimes I do, but a lot of times I create content whenever I'm inspired, and then I capture that inspiration right then and there and leave them in my drafts so I can post them later. Sometimes, it's helpful that I do that, but sometimes it allows me time to overthink and convince myself to not share it, right? Your most important posts might not be the ones that go viral, but they are the ones that kind of stretch your tolerance for being misunderstood or ignored. Like maybe you go on a rant about kind of a controversial topic that might feel a little bit edgy for you, might feel a little bit spicy, right? So this is your chance to rewire that urge to self-abandon whenever engagement is low. A good question that you can ask yourself if you are ever kind of second guessing your content, or if you're ever sitting on drafts in your drafts folder on Instagram or TikTok or wherever, and you're kind of wondering, like, should I post this? Like, maybe I shouldn't. I want you to ask yourself, if no one ever replied, if no one saw it, if no one reacted to it at all, if it just like fell into the void of social media content that never gets seen, would you still post it? If that answer is no, I want you to reflect on why. Okay. Why does it matter if people see it or if people don't see it? Right? We don't need validation to be ourselves. There are some videos out there that I am so proud of. Like, I feel like I want to toot my own horn and talk about how proud I am of them. An example of content that I make that I get so proud of, even if they don't really get a lot of engagement or anything, is those transition reels for transition videos where, you start off with like hair in a bun, no makeup, and then you do something on screen. And the next shot is of you all done up in a different outfit or whatever. I love doing those videos. For some reason, they're so fun for me. They don't always get a lot of engagement or whatever. Sometimes they kind of flop, but I don't care because they're so fun for me. And I'm going to post them anyways because they're fun for me to make. So I want you to reflect on a post that you shared purely for you, right? How did your energy shift after hitting post? And then if no one responded, if no one gave it any attention, would you still be proud that you posted it? If you have a friend or if you know someone that is sitting on a story or a post that is too tender to share, that feels so vulnerable to share, maybe the one that they wrote 3 weeks ago, but they keep editing it and they keep convincing themselves, oh, it's not ready yet. I don't want to share it yet. Tell that friend, this is your permission slip. Send them this video, send them this podcast episode, and encourage them to just share it. Fuck the views, fuck the likes. Like, we don't need all of that to share our stories. We don't need permission from the algorithm to share what's really on our heart. Okay, I really hope that this was the pep talk that you needed today. If this feels a little bit tender, it's because, I know how much it takes to create and to share content when nobody's responding or when it feels like nobody's listening or nobody cares. But you're not creating for people to give you an applause, okay? You're creating because your body is saying, this is real. Somebody needs to hear this message. Even if it's one person, if one person hears what you have to say and they are impacted by it, it's worth it. I think it's worth it. So I would love to invite you to either email me or DM me a post that you have written but haven't shared yet. And I would love to be one of the first people to cheer you on. If this hit home for you, screenshot this episode and tag me if it landed. I love whenever you guys have amazing takeaways from these podcast episodes. If you are looking for that deeper support in staying visible throughout those quiet seasons and increasing that emotional resiliency, my 6-month mastermind, Vibrant Visibility, is almost open for enrollment. Get on the wait list. I will have that link in the show notes for you guys. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If this was helpful for you, subscribe to the show to make sure you're always in the loop when a new episode is out. And I would love to invite you to join me in the free Visibility and Tech Support for Coaches community, where we hang out and chat about all things visibility, tech, systems, and heart-centered business building. I regularly share tips and tutorials and go live every now and then, and it's just nice to be in a community with other like-minded coaches and healers. So you can join this free space at alignwellco.com/community, and I can't wait to see you there.